This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all.
Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel and welcome to the week, welcome to Monday. Today I got a few kind of tabs to point at where the memes kind of write themselves. Then I want to talk a little bit about narrative as we approach what I believe will be the top for this bull run. Show you a few charts as always. And then of course we'll pick some winners from the live stream for the replay crew. So the first thing that people were tagging me in all weekend was this right here. The mainstream media is doing TA on Bitcoin on CNBC. And the other funny thing was, this TA is actually full of mistakes and errors. This is what I was talking about right here. They've got misidentified patterns and structures. They're calling consolidations bottoming formations and bottoming patterns. They've got an inverse head and shoulders here as a continuation pattern at the top instead of a reversal at the bottom, which it should be after a downtrend. So talk about the blind lead in the blind, eh? But remember, this is the biggest thing that we expect to see late stage cycle. We expect to see more and more dumb stuff as we approach the end of this 4-year cycle. And speaking of dumb stuff that we see as we get late stage cycle, we see more and more of this narrative here proliferate, right? That the cycle is over. There's no more 4-year cycle. Institutions run the game now. But the funny thing about this is the very people that say things like this just have no understanding of how to even define a cycle. They don't even understand where to measure it from. And of course, that's where we maintain our edge over the market, right? When we actually know how to label the cycles and where to measure them from and how to define them correctly, and also understand the tolerances and that kind of thing, then we're able to continue to let the rest of the market kind of argue about this silly stuff whilst we can just keep doing us, right? I got another example here where you can see people kind of claiming you have to ignore the first part of this cycle, and you can see we're measuring from the low to the high, which has nothing to do with anything, right? The translation of a cycle moves. That's why we don't focus on the translation. We can use cycle translation to figure out if we have implied bullishness or bearishness in the upcoming cycles thereafter. But, you know, anyone that is measuring from low to high really just, again, has not read the cycle theory stuff. And it's out there, right? I even did a quote tweet on this and I was saying, look, this isn't even nescience, right? This is ignorance. The information is out there, right? And people are choosing to ignore it and thinking they've got all the answers. You can also see here we're measuring from high to high. We don't do that. And this is what I mean by this whole kind of like weird narrative and argument thing going on at the moment. It's extremely consistent when you know how to use the cycles, right? When you know how to measure them. If we have to run to month 37, again, that's well within tolerance. We've seen this before. And of course, the cycle traders amongst us know what that implies thereafter. It implies a slightly shorter bear market. We also know there's a little bit of tolerance here, but we can use the weekly cycles to guide us in, just like we'll use the daily cycles to guide us into the weekly cycles. It's not rocket science, frankly, but there is this kind of beautiful thing about markets. And a question I get a lot is, Camel, if you keep doing this, if you keep showing cycle theory, if the channel keeps growing, eventually will so many people understand cycle theory that it won't work anymore? It will lose its effectiveness. And the truth is it will not. You can give people a winning strategy and you can tell them how to manage risk. And approximately 90% of people that have access to that information still can't make money because they do not have the discipline to stick to the system and apply the risk management. They'll do it for a couple of trades, and then after they start to win, they get punch drunk, and then they start to bet bigger and bigger and not manage risk anymore. And that's how they kind of make a bunch of money and give it all back, right? Make a bunch of money and give it all back. So it doesn't matter that we put this information out there, because even the people that use it, right, statistically speaking, 90% of the people that get hold of this information are still not going to make any money with it, right? Because they don't have the discipline. And this is just the same as saying, well, 90% of the population doesn't have six-pack abs, right? 90% of the population isn't a high performer in any area at all because they just lack the discipline to show up every day and stick to the process, right? And trust the process in its entirety. And again, there's this kind of weird thing where a lot of these people that are doubting the 4-year cycle, you know, that their reasoning for this is, well, it's going to top in Q1 or Q2. But that doesn't eradicate the 4-year cycle. It just means we're going to be slightly more right translated than we were in the prior 2 cycles, right? So anyway, I don't know. I think, to be honest, wolves do not need to concern themselves with the opinions of sheep. We're going to keep doing us, okay? And we're going to eventually find a cycle low to get behind and do exactly what we proved we are capable of at the prior cycle lows. As I said, we'll move into some narrative now, okay? Because we've been pointing at this for a while and saying, this makes a lot of sense to show up now, okay? It could have shown up months ago, it could have shown up weeks ago, it didn't. It's shown up now. Why is that important? Because this is the late stage cycle stuff, okay? 1, 2, 3 big green monthly candles into the top would be absolutely sweet here to say nothing was ever different. And of course, the kind of narrative that can drive those 1, 2, or 3 big green monthly candles is indeed this kind of stuff, right? You've got the president of the US saying they're going to give everyone about 2K in stimulus checks. Already, Forbes here is talking about how this could blow Bitcoin's price to the upside and crypto and the stock market market as well. Why is that? Well, because the last time we saw this kind of thing, of course, was during the C19 era, where they gave a bunch of people a stimulus check, and a lot of people, since they were locked at home and bored and didn't have nothing else to spend it on, aped it into the markets, okay? And since then, your $1,200 stimulus check would be worth over 21K if you'd put it in Bitcoin. So again, very easy to kind of point at past performance and assume that it's going to be indicative of future return. Very easy to say, well, last time you should have just aped Bitcoin, right? This time you should probably do the same thing. Now, undoubtedly, if this $2,000 stimulus check comes to fruition, many people are going to shove it into the markets for sure. But again, I don't really think it's important. I don't actually think it's going to be the case that that alone is what drives the markets. I think instead what's more likely to happen is this is just another narrative for people to say, yep, it's going up forever, there's no more 4-year cycle and all that kind of thing. At the same time, the UK is about to remove its ban on Bitcoin ETFs this week. Again, I want to point at this chart and say they could have done this weeks ago. Right? They could have done this months ago. They could have done this a year, even 2 years ago. They didn't, did they? They have chosen to do this right here. It's either a very strange coincidence, or I think they know what they're doing. Okay, and again, I'm not trying to sell you or convince you of that narrative or idea. Right? Maybe my tinfoil hat is too tight, but I don't believe it's a coincidence that they wait until here to release the ETF. It's almost as if they know that there's going to be a final hurrah and the institutions that bought all the way down here, okay, need somewhere to offload their positions. That's at least the way I'm thinking about it. And of course, for those of you that know your market history, okay, they launched new instruments at the tops and bottoms every other time. Here we got the first launch of the futures, right? Cash settled futures back here marks the top. Why? Because the institutions use that instrument to help short the price. Okay. Then up here, we get more ETF and cash settled types of products launched again right at the Pico top. Then right at the Pico bottom, we got the ProShares leveraged short ETF to enable retail to short the Pico bottom, right? And again, they don't launch these things in the middle somewhere or along the way. No. They wait until the absolute bottom to launch the short one to enable retail to short the bottom. They launch the long-sided ones at the Pico tops to allow people to buy the tops. And that is what I suggest is possibly happening here at the moment. I found this on the feed this morning, and I can see a lot of people are also saying the crypto stocks are in one of these Livermore's speculative funnels. Could well be the case, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now we're moving up to the big final hurrah to the top. And of course, on that monthly time frame, it would just look like 1, 2, even 3 big green candles. Perhaps something like this, 1, 2, 3 big green candles, and then off into a bear market. That would give us a top somewhere around 230K. Okay, who knows? But I'm here for it, and I'm ready to enjoy whatever gains the market has got to offer us. Also, shout out Socrates here, the weatherman, who has shown us that we may well be in phase 3 of a hyperwave for gold. If so, the target upside prices are astronomical, as Socrates says right here, but they would also be logical reactions to the debasement of currency that has happened in recent decades. Gold was quite a slow starter. It was quite slow to react to all of the printing, but make no mistake about it, it's no longer behaving slowly, is it? Now we are in that kind of big moment where we're going to continue to see this thing climb higher. Obviously, nothing moves in straight lines. There's going to be big pullbacks along the way. We have a half cycle low or a 4-year cycle due the same time as Bitcoin's in the stock market next year, but we can still get this done and not break the phase 3 trend line, right? If we broke up to, I don't know, 5 or 6K, we could still have a 30 or 40% correction back to the phase 3 trend line and then continue up higher, thus maintaining the hyperwave structure, keeping the 20K plus target on the table, but also allowing us to reset that half cycle low or the 4-year cycle into late next year. So then moving into the charts, the question really becomes, right, was that the cycle low? Is that all we got? Just a 2% decline, and now we're doing this yellow squiggle, but just from there, right? Is that what's happened? It's right inside of the timing window, so it could easily be that. If it's not the case, then we should get a new lower low in the next couple of sessions and we can mark that, but it looks a lot to me like that's probably it, and it's probably in. Gold is breaking to new highs, okay, almost 4K an ounce now, so we'll see, right? Long and strong continue to push, nothing else to say about that. Silver is, I think, less than 3% away from that $50 level that goes all the way back on the chart many moons ago to about 2011. And in the level 3 members video, we were looking through these gold mining stocks and ETFs, and they're just not even close to breaking down yet, are they? They still want to all climb higher, so we're going to just keep pushing them until they give us a reason not to. We've gotten so far underneath these squeezes now that we can't possibly walk away with anything other than stellar gains, even if we end up missing the top by 25%, and I don't think we will. So happy days there, long and strong. Bitcoin as well, right? There was a lot of conjecture and speculation about this idea, wasn't there? There was 2 counts, and we didn't know if this was going to form a lower low or Bob Lucas's count was going to be correct and we're going to have to abandon ours, but we stuck with it. And right now it seems like we're just doing this, right? We got a higher low, a retest, which to me reminds me an awful lot of this back here, weekly cycle low, retest day 30, and then off we went. To me, it seems a lot like this is what we're doing. Of course, the indicator hooked us up, let us know that we weren't going to be making a lower low in here because it detected momentum when no one else could see it. So again, happy days, right? We just keep doing us and us keeps working out. Now, I do want to say this, and I think this is important to note if you've made it this far, okay? At the moment, I don't know about you, but this all actually feels a little bit too easy to me, okay? Now, what I mean by this is I've been doing this a very long time, and there are times when it's incredibly difficult to make money trading, okay? Volatility and uncertainty and this kind of thing. There are times when it's kind of run-of-the-mill difficult. It's never really easy, but there are times when it's kind of like no more difficult than you would expect it to be if you know what you're doing and you have a system and you trade your system, right? And then there are these kind of very small sprinkles of time, which I refer to as an easy penny environment. I think I stole that terminology off Mark Minervini. And right now, we are clearly in what I would consider to be an easy penny environment, right? Like, the markets are so bullish right now that I don't have to work for the money, right? I'm sure you guys, this is not me trying to stroke my own sausage or anything like this. What did I just say, right? The point I'm trying to make is I'm sure you guys are in the same position as well, right? And if you're newer to markets, it's very easy to think you hack the matrix, you crack the code, and this is normal and to be expected, and you're just going to be a billionaire in 6 weeks' time or 6 months or 6 years, whatever, okay? But what I'm trying to illustrate by mentioning, okay, is this is not normal. Okay, this is late stage cycle stuff. This is the banana zone. And this is where it is extremely easy to get complacent. This is where it's extremely easy to think you're the best trader in the world and to look around you and say, well, I've made so much money and I've made so many gains and it's never going to end and it's never going to stop. But trading at the moment, I think, is extremely easy, right? Like, I'm looking at these gold mining stocks. They're all doing this, right? And they just keep going up. And again, it's important to keep grounded when this happens because this is not normal, okay? Like, this is extremely rare that this happens. And I know it feels good and we're going to lock down some nice profits soon and all that kind of thing. And if Bitcoin can do what I think it's going to do, then we're going to be over 150, maybe even 200K within a couple of weeks, right? Let's say 6 to 8 weeks, I would think. And I mean, that's going to feel pretty insane. If that's true, then, you know, these crypto stocks are probably got another 2 or 3x in some of them. And by then, it's going to feel pretty frothy, right? And the markets are so bullish. I'm really struggling to even find places to add to trades at the moment. And so I say this not to complain or anything like that. I say this out of experience. If you are new to markets, you're probably jumping up and down and thinking, this is insane, it's so good, I'm going to be rich. You're probably shopping for Lamborghinis and supercars and yachts and all this kind of thing. But if you're experienced in the markets, the more this goes on, the more you know that we're closer to the end. Okay, so I'm just kind of signaling this to let you guys know this is not really normal. This is end of cycle stuff. This is blow off top, grand finale spectacular. Yes, it can last a few months longer, maybe just weeks, who knows? But it's really important that you stay grounded and you understand that these kind of gains are not normal. They're not to be expected unless we are very late stage cycle, which we just so happen to be. And it's also important to realize that these things do not go up forever, okay? Things will top, they will top pretty soon. And when they do, they're going to violate spectacularly to the downside. And that's absolutely fine, so long as you are ready and prepared for that, so long as you're grounded enough to say, I'm going to take some profit off the table and secure the bag, okay? But many people will not do that, unfortunately. And that, again, speaks to what I was talking about earlier on, where you can give people a winning strategy and risk management, and 90% of them will still not make any money. Because when the tape gets more and more green and everything gets more and more bullish and their account balances go up and up and up every day, they start to get punch drunk and think they can't possibly lose. And that is where you are the most vulnerable, okay? A lot of people think you're vulnerable down at the bear market lows after a big bear market. Absolutely not, okay? It's right here and right now where we are the most vulnerable. And so just ask yourself, has the last few months of your trading been relatively easy compared to the months prior to that? And the answer should be yes, right? If anything, it's been too easy of late. And too easy in trading means our days are numbered, okay? And we must remain humble in that sense. Taking screenshots of profit and showing your missus how rich you are, or posting them online, or all of this kind of stuff, you know, this is exactly the kind of behavior that will get you wrecked. So please just consider what I say. Really ask yourself, you know, have you made the majority of the gains in the last couple of months? Because if you have, I mean, seeing some of my level 3 members message me to say, oh, I'm up 3x in 3 months, right? That's not normal. Let's be honest. And those people are not managing risk properly, okay? So Really think about that kind of thing. Think about what the average benchmark return is for the S&P 500 or for gold in a year, and then think about how much your portfolio is up in the last 6 months, right? Or the last 3 months. This is what I'm just trying to get you to think about, okay? So our days are numbered, okay? And it feels good to be bullish, it feels good to be making money, but none of it's real if we get 2 to 8 weeks into the future, we got massive paper balances in our accounts, and then we just don't sell, and we end up back at 70k Bitcoin, and you're going, oh no, like, where's all my money gone, right? Like, it's only real if you lock it in. So please do consider what I've said. For the replay crew that weren't able to make the live stream due to the time zone differences, don't worry, I got your back. We're gonna pick 5 winners now. So there you have it, 5 winners of the indicator. If you go to the channel and go to the about tab, you can get my email address. If you email me with a screenshot of your account to prove it is you, I will hook you up with a code for a lifetime discount on the indicator. So shout out to the replay crew. Have a fantastic rest of the week, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, all the best from me. Cheers. Bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see. Rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame. Sticking to his guns in his money game.